We're gonna call the meeting of the Northumberland County Economic Development Commission on January 16, 2024, call to order at 6 p.m. And we not only have a quorum, for the first time in a couple of years, we have an actual full seated council with all the commissioners. And we have a special guest, and so with everyone's indulgence, I'd like to go around and do a quick introduction around the room for everyone who's here, including our guests. And then we would turn the floor over to you. I can give a little bit of history about what we're looking for, unless Robert, you already did that.
It'd be good for you to do it, and I'll say a couple things.
I'm Karen Pica. I am the commissioner from District 4.
Dan Porter, Commissioner, District 1.
Drew Basie, Assistant County Administrative Staff Rep.
Bob Bullard, Executive Director for Economic Development.
Lynn Stewart, District 2.
Maurice Johnson, District 5.
John Cost, Planning Commission instead of the Economic Development Commission.
And Melissa.
And Melissa Buns Carter, District 3.
So thank you, Mr. Washington.
William.
What we wanted to do was get some your experience, expertise. So we have had some discussion at Board of Supervisors about bringing McDonald's in town. We're not here to talk about bringing McDonald's into town. What we're here to is learn from you and get some advice about what is attractive to a franchisee or organization in an area, and if there's anything we have that might fit the bill. And we've got various different routes of expertise. So if you don't mind, this will just be kind of a question and answer, not like a formal presentation and all that. So if we wanted to attract franchises to this county, would we be successful?
I'll take that.
It does you right there.
Write that in the notes.
No, it's a lot of work. I mean, that one in Wausau, I own that one, and we still don't have sewage there. I had to grind the sewage up and pump it, all the way into the town. So just little things like that. Water and sewer are a big thing. Of course, traffic count, ingress and egress, and then looking for year-round traffic too. It would probably do bonkers in the summertime, 6 months out of the year, and in the other 6 months, they really struggle.
How long did you run that business in the McDonald's in Warsaw?
Oh, I started at 42 years as a crew person, and then my wife and I had the first 2 stores in 2000, and then we ended up with 10. Not sold, we had 10.
Okay.
And that was one of them.
That was one of them.
One of the 10.
Yes.
And Ashland, Kilmarnock, Kilmarnock, Colonial Beach, King George, Bowling Green, Homer Church, 2 in Ashland, Sliding Hill. And we had that one almost 20 years. So, but I sold them 3 years ago.
Was there?
I'm sorry, were they all in place when you bought the franchises, or did you actually install some of them?
All those stores were in place.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I was involved with another guy that I worked for years. We had 18 of them that we put some new ones in and things like that. Like near the fairgrounds up in Richmond, the old fairgrounds. Out there in Virginia Center Commons, I don't know if y'all know where that's at or not, but Cross Ridge, that area there.
Did you do the siting process to decide where you wanted to put those? Or
It's all, any franchise, they usually pick it out. It used to be, the good old times, you could, hey, I got this lot over here, and a lot of finagling went on, and so they cut that completely, at least McDonald's did.
right.
And I'm pretty sure that most of the franchises, they got their own people that are looking for that kind of stuff. You can call them and make a recommendation, you can write them a letter, and they'll send somebody down here to look at it a lot of times, but they're gonna ask you for a ton of information. It's gonna be the ingress, egress. You gotta have a file ready to go to them, because they're gonna look at that before they even send somebody down there.
So on that, one of the things that we've been kicking around is having like a package that can go to businesses, even like a crib note sheet. So there's a certain set of information that they would specifically need. Like you said, it's gonna be the traffic count, et cetera. Is there something that we should be putting together, like the demographics of the county? Well, even before they would come down here to possibly do a site survey, is there information that they would want before they even ask about the traffic count?
They're gonna wanna know some demographics, but, density would be a big thing. You know, like, you can have a huge county like Northumberland, you might have a lot of people, but they're all
All over.
spread
Less than
out.
one per square
It's
mile.
not like a rich, Hanover with the Ashland. You know, Ashland, you got this dense population. We got two stores there. Tappahannock, Essex County is big, but Tappahannock is really connected. And Heathville, I don't know what the traffic, I don't know what the population is here, but I'm sure it's not compared to Tappahannock.
Well, even Lancaster, right, Lancaster County, I think Kilmarnock, right, has the majority of the population.
Right, and then you got Columbia Beach, but then you look at Walsall, it's sitting on the hill, and that was a great store for me. You know, sitting up on that hill by itself, but you're coming across that bridge and it's the first thing you get to. It's just, it's all over the place, you know.
So,
I'm sorry, in your experience, you'd mentioned they have their own process for determining and looking at things like egress.
Oh, yeah.
Considerations. Do they ever consider, or do you know if they consider things like leasing property that the county may own so they can build on that site?
The only one I can tell you about it, I know McDonald's does not like to lease anymore. They want to own their own property. Now, they'll do a short-term lease if it's, you know, if they get first right of refusal and stuff like that.
To follow up with that, so if they prefer to own, potentially be willing to buy county property to be able to build on that?
Yeah, you know, that's really,
So you gotta.
I really can't answer that because
Okay.
I don't know, they lease property, they bought a lot of property. They do it all,
Sure.
you know, they're they're in the real estate business. I was in the
Yeah.
hamburger business.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
That's for
so
sure.
what I'm getting so far is that a lot of it is outside of the franchisee's control
All of that is.
and,
Yeah.
but then as a franchisee, you have the what goes on with the business
Yeah.
as opposed to,
Like I said, I'm in
Where,
the hamburger
how?
business, but we pay them rent, you know, they buy the site, they develop the site, split the cost of the building, and then you pay them rent for 20 odd years. That's the McDonald's thing.
so when you're a franchisee in McDonald's and acknowledging that other franchisors would have a different profile possibly,
A
but
lot of them, Chick-fil-A has a different one, they do a different program.
yeah,
I don't know what Burger King does, but
I don't know if they do either,
I don't know.
but,
But you said that you had to take care of the sewer in Warsaw. That McDonald's didn't do that as the landowner, you had to.
No, we were totally responsible for all the business aspects of the water so I mean, Warsaw bought the water there. But I was responsible for the pumps in the ground and everything, maintaining them.
Right, so on the infrastructure piece, just hypothetically asking for anyone who's listening or recording, I'm not making any commitments on behalf of the county. If there would be incentives, would it be attractive to a franchisor to say the county would pay for the septic drilling, the water drilling, the septic? Like, are those costs that would help a franchisee? Or is
I'm
that-
sure it would help. That's something you have to discuss with the person who comes down here. It's a long process. It's not,
I suspect where Karen was going with that question is if we wanted to come up with, say, just a generic,
Incentive.
we
package.
wanted to come up with an incentive package that's got a broad spectrum of appeal to not just the fast food franchises, but possibly other businesses. We're looking for, if you have any suggestions, what types of programs might look appealing to them is kind of where I was.
well, I can tell you one thing that really took me by surprise, the environmental thing, like at Walsall. What they made me, the amount of money I had to spend on that, it really bothered me a lot.
Yeah.
And they made me put in gobs and gobs of plants. And the guy that told me that he said, well, you're the entrance to the Walsall and you need to look the best. And I'm like, okay, no money for it. It's $55,000 in plants and about another 150,000 for that trough in between me, not me now, but the McDonald's and the Tractor Supply that was for all the runoff. And if you want to make somebody happy or upset, get the environmental people involved, and I tell you, it really gets it can get really, really expensive real quick.
And those were town people or county people, not
Yeah.
state people,
These are
correct?
town people.
Okay, so that's.
Now, the
Beautification.
the beautification thing was the town, the water thing was,
County?
Richmond County.
county, because of close to the Rappahannock, I reckon, and all that. But, you know, when these big guys come in, and McDonald's is a big guy, Chick-fil-A is a big guy, a lot of these towns really turn them off by, well, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta put this sidewalk in, you gotta do this. And that stuff really starts getting expensive.
So I guess to be blunt, what you could say is that the NIMBY crowd is a buzzkill for
The
business.
what now?
NIMBY, the folks that claim not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Not in my backyard, yeah. Yeah.
Well, they wanted, it sounded like they wanted McDonald's, but they wanted it their way, which was.
That's a Burger King.
The McDonald's was already there.
Sorry.
The McDonald's was already there,
But you
but
still
when
had to do-
when I redid the whole store, you know, we did that big
You still had to
re-image.
do all the plants and stuff.
We had to do all that to
Okay.
get the permit to redo everything.
Permits,
Yeah.
okay.
Was there a county issue that made you want to sell your business, or were you just tired of
Oh,
running
no,
the
I've done it for so long. I
business?
had enough of it. It's a good time to get out of it. Now I wouldn't give any of it back for nothing. I mean, it was a great 40-some years, but I want to do it. I'm not getting too old to do it now.
In any of the businesses that you had, was there any, in any of the locations, was there any form of tax deferment as an incentivization for those? Now, I know some of them you were already established, but do you have any knowledge that was ever done by any? of
Not
those
tax, we had a couple of incentive things for like Warsaw and Columbia Beach that came in. I think I can't remember what that was for.
I know Warsaw had a program for tax deferment for a while on new businesses. I was curious to see if
No,
that
I
was.
never got that. They had something to do with the state or some federal program that came through, and they had to be in a certain area of the towns or something,
Economic development zones?
something like that. And the Warsaw one and the Columbia Beach one fell into that category.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of paperwork.
What's the traffic count in Colonial Beach?
I know when I bought that store, it was doing hardly anything. When I got rid of it, it was doing very, very well. Now, once again, that's probably 6, 7, 8 month a year store. So like right now, it's dead, you know?
But you make up for it with volume in the summertime.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I fully expected you to say population density was a big issue, but how do they formally measure that? I mean, what is the actual measurement of traffic? Is it number of sales, or is it people coming through the door? What should we expect there? Because you're right, we have a population density issue here.
Right. Yeah, you're not like Tappahannock or Ashland.
Right.
I would put y'all, like Montpelier, I don't know if y'all know what that is. Montpelier is up there on 33. And we asked them to go up there and look, and they looked and looked, and it just, in 33 and 54 is a pile of traffic, but it was just not enough going on there to make them do it. Because I wanted to put up just a drive-through store up there,
Okay.
drive-through only. And,
But what is the specific measure of traffic? Is it cars on the road, or is it, how do they measure
they
that?
usually do the car
Okay.
counts, yeah.
Okay.
How many vehicle trips per day is required for that business to all be successful?
I don't know.
Like if it's Chick-fil-A, Burger King, like they each have different one, or is
I think they're just gonna use whatever the current data is that y'all have, that VDOT has or whatever.
So,
we have data?
Yeah, well,
Yes, we do.
I know the last
I know
one-
95 and Route 1 and those big highways, they have data that they keep up. VDOT has all that information.
Yeah.
Karen, the last one I saw from VDOT on Callio was at 362, and that was, I mean, to me, it's nothing compared to the areas he's talking about, but it was pretty impressive. It was about 3,500 vehicle trips a day.
so and as John
That's a good intersection.
points
That
out,
is good.
It would be a great intersection, but
we're severely challenged in that, not just by population, but by layout of roads.
Right.
For example, better than half of this county geographically has to be your destination. You're not driving through. It's not like Colonial Beach where you've got a bunch of people commuting between Dogburn and other places or King
You
George.
got
for
that
that matter.
commute.
So we don't have commuter traffic other than the people that actually live or work here. Our largest employer is facing a challenge. And so I guess what's critical mass? If someone was gonna open up, in your case, a McDonald's here, how dense and large would the population have to be to register as sufficient to be a profitable venture?
You know, who knows? You know, it's just, I had the one in Bowling Green, that's a little teeny store. I mean, look at Bowling Green, I would compare that to some of this area through here, population wise. But you had AP Hill, you had 301.
Mm-hmm.
And 301, as you know, when 95 gets blocked up, that 301 turns into another interstate.
Uh-huh.
So you got these spurts of traffic that help you evaluate and everything. I don't see that down here. You know, you're not gonna have, you got a dead end down here, what, another 20 miles?
That's where I live. Well,
Yeah.
the other way.
And a dead end over there, and a dead end over there.
Yeah.
So we would compare ourselves mostly to Lancaster.
Well, there's a difference though. Lancaster, you still got
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock and Whitestone have a population density of 52% of the county's populations in those two zip codes.
Exactly.
We don't have that here because Carlisle and Reedville are opposite ends of the county and they're a fraction of the density down there.
Okay, so what you're saying is we're gonna have pretty much have to, settle for Domino's.
No.
We should be so lucky.
Yeah.
But the idea that, I didn't realize that you could also approach like different I mean, we could approach 10 different businesses to say, hey, what would it take? Not maybe that we want necessarily like, you know, the Domino's or whatever, but if we can understand what they're looking for, we might be able to find, you know, I mean, the guy brought the Subway here and they're doing great, right? He owns, I think he's got an exclusive agreement where you can't have any other Subways, right? Isn't it that the?
He owns all the franchises, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And the
Right,
thing
and
that
they
makes
do-
that work is because it's combined with the Citgo.
That helps. It's not standalone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not standalone. It would fall apart if it wasn't for the Citgo.
Exactly.
Library.
Same with Crunchy Chicken and Exxon and Burgess. It's not a standalone. Those are the only two franchises we have in this county. They're not standalone.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Did you have workplace considerations when you were anticipating a site workforce? Was
Getting
that
enough
a
help.
consideration?
Getting enough quality staff.
Oh, it's always, it was a pain when it wasn't a pain.
That's everything.
Your full-time thing back then.
COVID came along.
Yeah.
That really
Yeah.
messed it up, and it's still a big fight.
Is it worse now than before the pandemic because of the
Oh, yeah.
pandemic? Okay, not surprising.
So,
Now, understand, I hadn't been in it for about 3 years, but I'm very good friends with the guy who bought them from me. I'm still very much in touch with the McDonald's system. I don't know a thing about the Hardee's and all that, but
Well, that would be, I think, for the purposes of this discussion, that would be, A, expecting too much and diving too far into the weeds
yeah,
to cover all of that.
the health thing is, it's bad everywhere for almost any business.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's tough right now.
Did you have to seek like a third party firm that helped you look to see if these were good businesses to start up? I know they're already in place, but did you just go it alone and do all the
No, I
paperwork?
wouldn't allow, because I've been running a bunch of them for a guy for a long time, and then the opportunity came before me and my wife to buy the first two. I had to work out a deal with McDonald's, and after that, it was good.
Mhm.
Well, that's a very interesting personal experience. So would you advise then if somebody were to start one, that they already have the experience of doing it? You don't want somebody coming out of the woods here in Heathville.
Oh, no,
Start-
it would be one of the guys, it would be somebody that's already got them.
Okay,
That, I'm talking about McDonald's now, I don't know
Understand.
anything about the
I
others.
understand.
But no, you wouldn't just bring Joe Blow in here and say, start the McDonald's, and it would be rough
Undoubtedly, yeah.
for them in the system, in the McDonald's.
Learning curve.
You have to have an infrastructure and you have to have the good ones, like Mechanicsville, that run hot all the time, and then you got the Colonial Beaches that have the cycles, you know, you gotta get through those cycles and you
So it
combine.
sounds like
10 of
you would
them.
almost never want to own just one. Because you're gonna have
The
to
one
play
guy that
all
had
off
the
of
one in
each other.
Kilmarnock, that was a good one. That was Kilmarnock, when I bought that one, that was a good store. It was a good store right after I sold it.
Yeah, still in.
Yeah, he's working for census now. He
Yeah.
runs around the town taking census, so.
Right.
He's full.
So back to the population density concerns. When you have stores, Warsaw and Kilmarnock or Colonial Beach and King George that are fairly close geographically, how much do they complement each other versus compete against each other?
But most of those stores, we were far enough apart that they really didn't compete against each other a whole lot. You always had your comments, well, I'd rather go to Walsall than Tappahannock. The people were meaner at Tappahannock or vice versa, you know, you had all that. You just try to run them as good as you can and get as many people through there as you can. That's what you did. You know, we had two in Ashland, one on the interstate and one on Route 1. And during the summertime, both of them did great. You had Kings Dominion, a lot of summertime traffic. But the one on the interstate in the wintertime really struggles to do the sales. So it's hodgepodge. But I think the main thing, if y'all want to try to get somebody in here, I would come up with a plan of what you're willing to spend for pavement, curb and gutter. The environmental thing can get really obnoxious if the wrong people get involved with it. I understand it's important, but I think it can be done a whole lot cheaper and just as effective.
Yeah, we can get some old oyster shells and make it pretty.
Yeah.
We're good down here.
They made me put a lot of sidewalks in, and then everything around me, nobody had a sidewalk. Not down here, but in other places I was at. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's $10,000 to $15,000 to put sidewalks in. Put one place, this environmental thing, they had these tanks that go on the ground, and they got this filter system in it. I had to put 8 of them in at Ashland. It was like about $200,000, and I paid a couple thousand a year to maintain them. So all those things come into effect when somebody comes in here and says, well, they're gonna put $1 million building in there. And then a bunch of state people, county people, town people come in and go, they all want their little piece of, well, I want this tree, I want this. Next thing you know, the cost goes through the roof and they back it. That happens a lot.
In doing that, putting in the sidewalks and the curbs, you had to do that on your own. You had to do your own small business loan, or was the county able to fund you with any of that?
No, we had 5 lenders that we mainly dealt with.
Okay.
It was 5 big banks, you know.
On an economics issue, you might not be able to answer this, but there would be concern about capital leakage. And what I mean by that is money that is currently in the county that would go to McDonald's outside the county, you know, as a corporate and whoever. In a typical restaurant, what percentage of the revenue leaves the store to go to the company, either through the food or the fees or the rent? How much money leaves the store?
Well, they do, they base everything on their top line sales, so it can be anywhere from 8 to 18% of total sales.
And that including for the cost of the food that they supply.
No, we buy the food.
So you're not forced to buy it from the franchisor?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
yeah.
so you do, okay.
Yeah.
So
we
that's
buy the
above and
food.
beyond the food, so what I'm
But I'm
getting
talking,
is
when I sell the food, 18% of a $1 hamburger, say, goes to McDonald's.
Okay,
Then I gotta buy my food, I gotta pay the labor.
so it's 18% plus the cost of the food.
Yeah,
Can you buy local or do you have to buy from?
no, you can't buy one.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
so that
all-
was the other question,
yeah.
it has to be.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want you, well, you're not in the business now anyway. If you add up the food costs, let's take a typical Big Mac. How much of the retail value of that Big Mac is going back to the company for the cost of the food and for the overhead that McDonald's draws on that?
That's where this whole thing comes together at, because that's why you gotta have the volume.
Right.
The margins aren't very good. But if you get the store doing, you know, a large amount of money a year, you know, you get that percentage off of 3 million or 4 million or 2 million. But if you got a store limping around with 1.5 million, there ain't much left at the end of the day.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I look at Kilmarnock's, McDonald's, and I'm looking at Dairy Queen, just the traffic. And poor Wendy's just,
Mhm.
you know, usually they have ham and no burger. And it's just- But, McDonald's is in the highway, you know, just out of the parking lot, lined up to get in. And
Mhm.
these other two fast food places, I mean, even with Dairy Queen right now, it's empty. Yeah.
Well, that's because Wendy's doesn't have an order.
Is that what it is?
No.
Okay,
I don't know why.
Well, that Wendy's came in, and I know that when that Wendy's didn't affect us for like 1 week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
everybody figured, hey, that they couldn't get through that, so they come back to us.
Right.
It's amazing. But Kilmarnock has a hell of a traffic count.
yeah,
I mean, that Route 3,
yeah.
it kicks.
A lot of people come from here.
That was a good
Exactly.
store.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, I can't go to town on Friday, yeah.
And so that's, you know, we're talking location, Route 3,
Exactly.
places with heavy traffic where you're on the right side of the road at the right time of day.
Right.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of that.
And you got lights. See, y'all got one light, you know,
Oh,
up at that main intersection.
Right.
2 in the whole county.
Yes.
No, it's nothing wrong with that, but I want to make sure that on record that I don't have anything to do with any locations with McDonald's
No,
or.
no, we
Oh,
don't.
No, we're talking to you as an
This
experienced
is a
human being.
franchise
Exactly.
exploration, it's not called McDonald's.
They might be looking at different things than I just talked about, but
Yeah,
I will tell you, the expense of putting those sites in now has just gone crazy. And I'm not talking about just because the lumber prices went up and all that. I'm talking about all the little things that they started adding on.
They being who?
The landscaping, the
Stormwater.
environment, things of that nature.
I was reading an article on the internet, I think just last week, and they said a typical McDonald's to start from scratch now is gonna be a $4 million investment.
I think you're very right. I think it's very right. So you gotta sell a lot of hamburgers to make up for that.
Right.
And you
Because you
mentioned
start
that,
that business.
you have the off-season, you have the off-season. How about a business, I'm not calling out this business specifically, but Chick-fil-A, they're closing Sundays.
Yeah.
Would something like that help a business owner or franchise owner in terms of their operations, having to employ the
Oh, I always wanted, we try to get a big thing up where we wanted to close, let us close on Tuesday. Everybody knows McDonald's closed on Tuesday. But they would never entertain that.
McDonald's would never
See,
entertain.
Chick-fil-A is not trading on the
No.
stock exchange.
Right.
Yeah.
McDonald's is.
Understood.
And
So they
they'll
gotta
stick with their
uphold to the stockholder. But,
Well, thank you.
Information.
If I may, if we don't have any other questions, I would like to give you, sir, a few minutes to let us talk to us about your business. How's your business doing? This is your Economic Development Commission here. We'd like to know how Louis is doing.
And what can we do?
Yeah.
I know, not bushes, but is there anything? What could the county do to get out here and pay it if you better? Yeah, great question.
well, no, I've just about finished everything down there I'm gonna do. You know, we've taken all the, I don't know the last time y'all rode down there, but we've taken all those old buildings down and rebuilt everything.
Absolutely beautiful.
Where
Great
is it?
job.
Louis at Marina?
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
go down there once a week, just watch it. You've done a stellar job.
Well, thank you.
Particularly the way you architecturally restored the old building. I had many a ham sandwich in that building
Yeah.
from Helen and Mark.
Well, we did that with Bill and Philip, and we want to make sure we put it back the same way. In fact, it looks like the old building now.
Yeah,
That
right.
before they put the post office, old post office on there. No, we're happy. We're in our 3rd year and, we just about finished up building everything, so I'm spending money down there. So now we start bringing money in.
Well, so to build on his question, is there anything we can do to help draw additional business into the county that would be a benefit to you?
I mean, I was looking at putting some billboards up somewhere, but I know they're hard to come by. You know, you almost gotta find an old one that somebody's gotten rid of or something. But, Overson's got a nice board right there at the entrance to Rosetta.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they got some more signs. I was trying to figure some kind of way to put something like that up, but
You doing much in the way of internet traffic?
we're getting ready to I wanted to finish everything first, and we got somebody coming in there to film it with a drone and all that, and all the new docks and all that. And we're gonna put that on the website.
If the county has a well-functioning economic development / tourism site, you would want to be part of that as potential reference in there?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fine, yeah.
Great.
Good.
Okay.
We're definitely thinking along those lines.
Yeah.
No, I'm from King George. I was born and raised in King George, so right up the river there. And
Right.
my uncle and I, we did a lot of fishing down this way when I was young, and it's been pretty neat coming back down there. And we had a house over at Tappahannock. We sold that and bought this, and everything working out pretty good.
Good.
And you also said, your clientele's coming in, they're catching a lot of fish. So it's
They
probably
catch a lot of fish, yeah.
Probably one of the better rockfish seasons that you've seen in a while.
It is, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a pretty good, interesting data point for us too. That's really important.
No, it was really good.
I think I recall you mentioning you were considering were you entertaining the idea of putting a hoteling or Airbnb type of capability there?
No, once again, water and sewage, that's a big deal. Sewage is really a big deal down that way. You got septic tanks and they just can't handle them.
If I may paraphrase, I remember we met with you during the COVID, when we were starting to do this ARPA-tourism, we were asking, what kind of help do you need? And one of the things I think you were the one who mentioned to me that a lot of these fishermen come here and they say, hey, where can we stay?
Right.
They
We've
don't
had a
have
great
anywhere to
day.
stay.
We've had a great day fishing. We want to stay because we want to stay another day going fishing. And
If I know them, I let them stay at my places down there, but there's nowhere through here to stay. I mean, there is a few places, but, and then Kilmarnock, and then you got the hotel in Walsall there, and then you got to go to Tappahannock. And some of these people are driving a long way
So
to go fishing.
that's a topic that's actually near and dear to my heart because I do own a vacation rental. And more times than I care to count, it's very tough to set up. People have asked, why can't you put together a package? You've got the house for people to stay in. We need like maybe a captain and some other services. If we could just put it together as a package, everybody would win.
Mhm.
But turns out to be a bigger challenge than you might think.
It is. Cause you gotta get the guy that's picking them up at the end of the dock to agree to it, and, you know, where's he getting his fuel from? And I mean, it gets into a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then liability stuff and all that.
It's tough.
The restroom thing is the big thing. That's what I had to deal with the most down there was with the state health department was dealing with the septic stuff. They want to know, because I put more slips in, we built more slips, and they want to make sure I had the bathrooms I handle. Well, I do, but you know, it's just it's a big deal.
The septic and the water.
Mhm.
So with it being a big deal, is it the cost of it? Like, is there anything that we could do to incentivize? So if you were looking at the marina now and you were like, oh, I have to, do septic and do water and out, what would cause you to go from no to yes? If the county said, hey, we'll do X.
Well, the one good thing about down there is they do have the aqua system. It runs right to the marina, but it doesn't run in the marina. I have my own well at the marina.
Okay.
And I don't know, I had never even called Aqua to see if we could hook on to it or not.
That would be worthwhile.
Yeah, but the septic part is the bigger of the deal. It's like when those guys come down, he said, William, these septic fields you have here, they're like gold. Don't let people drive on them, don't let anything happen to them. And we've been very careful with them. I get them pumped. I'm getting them pumped once a year. I'm not even doing the 4-year or 3-year program.
Do you have standard or you have that special one? You just have the standard septic?
Just conventional, yeah.
Conventional, thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a thought that comes to mind here, because regardless of the context of the discussion, you've mentioned sewer as being kind of a hurdle 5 times so far.
It is.
And
It's a big hurdle.
it's a huge hurdle. And so when I look at my planning commission partner over here, I'm thinking there's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing going on here. And if maybe we plan where we would like to grow businesses and put in some of that infrastructure, or at least stub it out, in advance to at least have that much of an invite and address some of that, because it is a problem.
Hold
It's
that
not-
thought for January 18th. That is a perfect conversation for our meeting with the joint committee, because that's something the county has, like, if that's where, if we want to do that with what, Reedville, I think, has one, Callio has one.
That's
That's
it,
it.
that's
Right,
it,
that's it.
It was the only
that's
change.
it.
Right, if there's something, so what's the county's tolerance? What would be the incentives? What can we do? That's a great question to ask at that meeting.
Yeah, it's one that's been nagging at me for a while, because when I look at like the 5-year plans from different aspects of the county, I go, wait a second, this is all mostly about maintaining the way we do business today. So what if we want to grow something, if I want to start a garden, I need to identify where it is in my yard,
Absolutely.
right? So if I want to grow businesses, it's kind of the same thing. It's a different kind of garden, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And actually, the last planning commission meeting, we were talking about the regulations that it was discussed briefly at the board meeting just last week about, campgrounds and how big, when do we regulate them and when not? And the original question posed to us by the board of supervisors was, how big is too big? And what we came up with is that it really didn't matter. What it came down to was the capability of the water and septic and whether it was there or not. So that's gonna be the constraining factor in virtually everything we
And
do.
it seems to come up
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing to deal with. I got people that want to camp down there all the time and do the camp, do the fishing thing and all that, and, I just got that phone and never learned how to turn it. So I tried to do it before this meeting, but,
My hammer works really well.
yeah. But the septic thing, I just tell them you can't come down there. I'll let maybe one of my friend come down, he'll hook up to the back of my store down there, but you gotta carry the crap with you. I don't have any way for you to dump it. And it's a big problem.
Right.
Especially down that way. And I'm thinking it's around the whole county probably.
I know it is. And this goes to one of the questions that I always ask in my mind, not necessarily out loud, but the Hiwi-Kuisi question. The Hiwi-Kuisi question is simply, how will I know it when I see it? And from a county perspective, you want to grow things like I was saying. What does that really look like? It's not limited to just the sewer systems and everything else. So what does it actually look like?
Works issue too.
Yeah.
And that's
If I wanted to put a restaurant in it, and God knows everybody's asking to put something down there, a tiki bar or something, I can't do it because of that. If I wanted to, I don't want to.
right.
Wait,
But now you got a good excuse
you
to say I
can't do
can't.
it because the septic capability isn't there, or because the health department
It's the
won't clear it?
permeability of.
I'm sure the health department wouldn't
Right,
put
because
health department
it's a
around
perk
it.
issue.
The ground won't absorb the water, and that's.
Right, but you could
county.
also put in the $300,000 or the $30,000 fancy system. So, and again, honestly, let's pretend you did want to do that. And the health department won't clear it because it doesn't perk the right way. It's not the right term, but that's what I'm saying. But you could do it if you got that 30,000, what's it?
It's an engineered system.
Engineered system.
Yeah, the engineering system. If the county then were to say, okay, great, we'd love to help you, we'll put that in, would that change your mind? Not, and again, I'm not asking you, is this a real question, but a hypothetical. Is that type of incentive from the county worthwhile or not?
That would be a better incentive, you know? And they've been very good down here with the permitting, by the way. Bill and them, when Bill was over here, Philip, Steve, the new guy and all that, they really came on board with us down there and really helped out a lot.
There could be.
But but when it gets into the state, it gets out of the county's
Right.
understanding, Bill and maybe anybody at this table really don't have a damn thing to do with it.
Right.
It becomes a state, like when I added on those docks down there, I had to go through another thing with the oyster thing.
Yeah.
It gets into and you almost give up. And I'll be honest with you, I can fight through a lot of things, and I did and I have, still will, but it almost makes you go, why am I doing
Why?
this?
Yep.
Yeah,
And I'm just being truthful with you.
but no, that's what we need to hear.
I got a question. Have you ever wondered if that's on purpose?
What's on?
All of the bureaucratic resistance that you just described.
It might be, I don't know.
It just strikes me that there's so many people that want their hands in your business that it's difficult.
Yeah.
Interestingly, and this is a sidebar, just with my experience with the old grocery store in town, here's what blows me away. The county is allowed to waive stormwater management requiring best stormwater management practices. If I want to build a house, or if Maurice is building or you're building your house, if you're a business, they cannot waive best management practices. They can't do it. And you're talking, I mean, I can just tell you in the store, it was salty. It was around $100,000.
But that's because the state law.
And no, and that, well, yeah, the state,
Right,
the
so
state
this
is
is
what
what we're talking
maintains.
about now, it's a
Yeah.
state law that says you can waive it for
Well, it's the
residential.
same thing gonna happen to whoever you talk to try to get them down here. It's the state gets involved, is when all the environmental stuff comes in.
Yeah.
And that's why you gotta have something already pretty much in line, because
Okay.
it can get very, very expensive.
Which makes our discussion about getting the county to do the really truly identifying where we want to put stuff and then maybe stub some things out. That's important. That's hugely important. I can see it. It's clear as day.
Well, like I said, this down here now is a hobby for me. It's not my livelihood. I've had my livelihood and it did very well, and I'm doing fine. That's a hobby down there, and I enjoy doing everything I'm doing down there. But it got to the point near the end there, we're dealing with VMRC, you're dealing with the health department, you're dealing with the people with oyster beds. And not that you'd be dealing with oyster beds up here, but it does make you just go, now these big boys and girls, they have people that go ahead and do all this stuff. I was doing it myself,
Right, but if part of what you want to do is retain the county flavor and have people kind of be entrepreneurs and start their own little business,
Yeah.
they would be doing that themselves. They wouldn't have a corporate stable of people behind them that can come deal with all this.
Right.
So is there, and we might have to come back to this conversation, because I know there's resources in the county, like the SCORE, whatever that SCORE program is at the state level, helps small businesses navigate some things. So one of the questions would be, if there was an asset in the county that could help you navigate all those different tripwires with the state, would it help? We don't know the answer to that yet, because we don't know what we'd all run into.
They'll be like an ombudsman of sorts.
Kind of like something that could help you, a Sherpa, right? Like
Well, like I said, once Bill and them got to know us, Bill and Philip and Steve, they got to know us, they were really spot on. I put some stuff together for them and they would approve it and all that. But when it gets out of their hands,
Right.
it's when the real problem comes. And I don't know who here even has the clout to talk to some of those people, because that BMRC group, that's a whole nother
Jeffrey is an
ballgame
interesting
there. You
And
know,
didn't that happen with, Dingledine at the bluff, was it the bluff one? With, Tom Dingledine, because he gave up. I talked to him, at the end of last year, and he was so frustrated with us. Where he said he just would never want anything to do with the Northern Neck
Oh, my.
again. Yeah.
Well, I
And
tell you,
we
it's
had to go down to
intimidating when you-
Ben's. We
when
went
you get
down
in
to
these little
Ben's, and,
towns.
help represent him as well. It was hell for him. And he was pulling, $5 million out of his own pocket,
And he gave up.
Yeah.
Mr. Washington, I want
That's
to
a
be
big
mindful of your
give
time.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, no.
Sir, thank you very much for coming. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
We wish you continued success in your business, and please let us know if there's anything we can do.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it.
And invite us all down for the Christmas party this year.
Thank you.
Like the way you think.
Yeah.
Y'all ride by there sometime and check out the place.
Okay.
It's dead down there right now. I tell you, it's cold down there.
You don't do chumming anymore.
Wait till March or
You
April.
don't grind the menhaden anymore, right?
No. We stopped. That, once again, that's a big liability, and Mark was doing that himself. And when I saw that three-phase machine over there grinding those fish up, I'm going like, okay, I'm gonna have a 16-year-old over here running that thing. The wrong person drive by.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. All right, y'all take it easy.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
All right, y'all take it easy. Bye now.
Thank you.
Jennifer,
Hi.
yes, can we introduce ourselves?
Nice seeing you again.
I'm John Cost, I'm with the Planning Commission.
Hi.
I'm listening.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
John has some past experience in economic development, plus, since we're looking at having a better relationship maybe with the planning commission.
Yeah, because, what's his name?
I don't know.
What is his name? was on the conference call that does our grants?
Jerry?
Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Okay.
Oh, he's with the.
Northern
Net, the net,
Yeah.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
Yeah, so, all right. Any changes to the agenda? All right, good, agenda's approved. We did our franchise discovery session, which was very interesting. Bob, I'll write up some notes too, I think, so I don't know if I captured anything.
Okay.
Good questions there. All right. Next item, review the meeting notes from just the December regular meeting.
November and December.
November and December, any changes to the November, December meeting? Oh, you want me looking at you. Any changes to the November, December meeting?
So are you all new on the commission?
Yes, we have a
Oh,
full
okay.
commission now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we now have, Lynn is District 2, Maurice is 5.
Yes.
So we now have a very
Oh,
full.
wonderful.
Big happy fan.
Thank you. Stick around.
That is the plan.
When was the last time we had a full house?
Let's see, I don't know, they died.
She's being serious.
I know, I was only one person.
I've been
No,
here-
you had, I've been here for over 10 years. Yeah, yeah, we lost.
You're the last woman standing.
No, we we had Bill Clean passed, Joe Mayday passed, and Lee Allen passed.
Jeez,
Yes,
the high mortality
Oh
rate.
my gosh, I don't know what I'm committee anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
So when was the last time we did have like a full group? Has it been a year, 2 years?
I've been here 2 years and it's
It's
never
been
been.
longer than that, yeah.
So long.
I've been told that it's been over 10.
What?
Yeah, a long, long time.
Yeah, it was more than, well, it's been less than 10, because I've been here, and we, like I said, we had, Clean, Mayday, and we had, what's his name? And we had, Lee Allen, and then we had the other guy that's with, he sells the brooms, the old wooden brooms.
So the question is, how long has it been since all 5 chairs were filled?
Well, it has been well before COVID, so I would say within the last 5 to 6 years,
Okay,
yeah,
Wow.
that hurts.
yeah.
Good, we're all back.
Right. And then to answer your question, it's not the first time we've came up with information about the septic, and.
Yeah, I'm sure that bell has been rung many times.
We've done that, we've done the research, we got the cost of it, and it was, so. Try not to give up, stick in here with us, we're gonna try to do some things and, make some things happen. Because that's usually where our turnover is, because of the fact that individuals come in and they feel like, okay, well, there's no change. This is gonna take place.
See, the good news there is that Karen and I have both worked for the federal government. We understand what slow is.
Well, we're slow work.
But it doesn't sound like you had normal turnover, people died.
Yeah, some of them died, and some of them quit, yeah, but, the ones that were actually dedicated, they died.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, we're all here.
yeah, we're all here now pumping, heart pumping.
And Karen asked about the November minute.
Yeah.
She gets
I don't say anything now. This is scary.
I'm so sorry, yeah, okay. Continue carrying with your 2025 budget.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Are we good with the minutes?
Yes,
All right.
I make a motion that
There
we
you go.
accept
Who wants
the
to second?
minutes.
Second.
All right,
Okay,
good. All in favor, aye.
Got it.
Okay, good. And do we have folks online now, or are we still on?
Still on.
Okay, good.
Let me verify.
So the strategic plan. I wanted to give you guys an update. So we met in what was it, November we met. You guys gave me all kinds of good input, and I have started drafting the front part of it. And I have to say, as I'm drafting the front part, and I'm going through some statistics from the Census Bureau and some other places to update some of the statistics, I got through all the 3 paragraphs on the first page of the report in like 6 hours because I was redoing data. What was very interesting about the data are the latest American Community Survey from the Census Bureau talks about the types of businesses that have exited the county, and they're very similar to the types of businesses we want to attract. And so the question is, what caused them to leave, which we don't know. So I am drafting the plan. I'm looking at all the input that we've received from different users and the stuff that we had. I'm still going with the 2030 approach, and then having, you know, at least one business a year, how we define that in terms of attracting it. And then also looking at some other, analyses. And John here has done, what did you call the analysis you did? The commodity, not where you look at the industries in the area?
Yeah, well, there was several, I mean, you talking about the, process mapping?
Yes.
Yeah.
So John is gonna help us with refreshing the process map. Look, these are all the industries around the county, the comprehensive, no, excuse me, not the comprehensive plan, but the Northern Neck Planning Commission plan does a really good job of focusing on that. And they've got that Boston Consulting Group study that's in there. So, John has some past experience with economic development. He's gonna help me kind of translate some of that and help advise us in that space to see where we might be able to pick up some opportunities for businesses. So that's a long way of saying I don't have anything draft for y'all to look at yet. That doesn't mean it's not in process. So I'm still very focused on getting something to you. This information was helpful, and the fact that we have the Joint Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors, and EDC meeting, because as we've talked about before, what's the tolerance from the Board of Supervisors for changes? What are they willing to do? What's off the list? What is the Planning Commission is redoing the comprehensive plan. So we don't want to get ahead of that. We don't want to be behind it. So I don't know how that's going to impact, you know, the strategic plan on which we're working. And with respect to the strategic plan, this bleeds into the budget too. And Melissa, I know that you've been very active in trying to help me get the chamber involved.
Yes.
I have an email that we will enter into the record from the chamber that says, let's see, 2030 is too distant for us to plan for helping with the strategic plan. We need new people. I want to retire. So, there's a little bit more to it. But what I have here is a clear email from the president of the chamber saying that we would like to see your plans when you get them finished and invite you to come over and talk with us. But we'd love to collaborate, but there's really nothing we can do to help you in the plan. Which I was a little bit surprised about because we want to have that strong relationship with the chamber. I mean, there's so many things we want to do with the school we talked about, with businesses. We want it, we need that collaboration, and to have the president of the chamber express interest and then say thank you, but no thank you. I think
It's time to get a new president.
How many organizations are members of this?
You're reading my mind, because there isn't any.
well, they keep dropping.
Yeah,
And so
yes.
So are they a non-entity?
this bleeds into the budget discussion, which I want to have. Does anyone have questions on the strategic plan part of it before I bleed into the budget discussion? Because this is germane. So the budget that I'd like to request for us this year is $2,500 on top of what we already get. So the funding that we get, just for everyone, I think everyone knows this, I've foregone my salary, whatever the stipend thing is for
Me
this.
too.
So, okay, because I can decrease the budget by that amount, if you're good with that, right? I'm not asking anyone else, I'm just gonna say, so I'm gonna decrease that frees up a little bit of money. We're gonna keep all the rest of the stuff status quo for what happens with like the, you know, EDC salary, et cetera. We're not gonna be looking at more hours or anything yet for the director, because we really don't know what we're gonna be. And the $2,500 I'm gonna ask for is, I'd like to have some money that's dedicated to help us keep there's a website we keep up with the businesses listing and stuff, to get somebody to do that. I know, Bob, I think you do that right now, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
stay newbie.
yeah. So if you've got that done, and then we've got our project we're talking about with the app and maybe running that competition. And so what I'm gonna propose to Mr. Tadlock is, in the letter that I draft, is that in order to be budget neutral for the county, we don't need more taxes to fund our little project, that we take funding from the chamber. The chamber gets $14,000 a year for economic development. They run two visitor centers, and I will buy a whiskey sour for anybody who can tell me where both of them are.
I know where one of them is.
I know where one of them is.
There's
It's
two.
in the old theater building on
In
Main
Cali,
County Drive.
Anybody know where the other one is?
No.
Good, I'll drink the whiskey myself. It is over in Burgess at, used to be, I think, Billy's Marine over there, there's a business over there. One of the things that I'd like to propose to Luttrell, if y'all are comfortable with this, is have like a competition to get it out of that business and into somewhere else. We pay rent, there's rent that's paid. And I think if we could have maybe, keep the visitor center in Callio, but then maybe have one in Heathsville, maybe have one in Reedville. And I'd also like to ask the county administrator for the statistics on how many people visit, where are they from? What kind of information we're gathering? Is there any tracking that's done on those? So we have 2 visitor centers, and I don't know how active they are. I also know that there was an increase in the chamber funding 2 years ago. And I have been a chamber member for a couple of years, and since at least September of 2022, there's been no meetings, and the website has been down since then. So let's keep the visitor centers, let's not go after everything, for lack of a better word. But I think in order to make sure that the taxpayers are getting their money worth that ED, let's just take 2,000 of that and use it for our app. And then, right, 25, then take 500 of it and get the website updated. Because the chamber website has been down since August of 2022. But the county, my understanding, is paying $150 a month to the chamber to run that website.
I'll make a motion to move forward with that request.
Karen, when you said you, in the budget, you want to forego the money that goes towards you, I'm thinking the federal budget type of, I don't know if this is the way it works here in Northumberland County, but by doing that, does that come out of the EDC line completely? And then it gets distributed somewhere else outside of the EDC line?
Well, no, so that's the 600 for me, I could put, instead of asking for 25, like, that offsets the 2,500.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so that's what,
Because we're
That's how
asking
that
for a
works.
plus up, right?
Gotcha.
So my plus up would then only be 1,900.
got it, understood.
Well, put me on it because I'm not receiving
Okay,
any
then the plus
costs.
up's 1,300, right? But see, so we're still gonna need some money, we're gonna need more money added to the EDC budget. And in this case, what we're doing is just asking for a little bit of a redistribution, we still need a plus up. We
Right,
can't do the competition without it.
understand, yeah, no, I agree, I just want to make sure, you know, how the feds, how it's done in federal, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna give them money and it's gone. You
No,
don't
we're
see-
zero basing this, buddy.
Yep.
This is now a zero based budget. I don't care what anybody else is doing in this county, but this one's gonna be zero based.
I like Bill Grove.
And I want to ask a question and just share a thought when we were talking about visitor centers and taking it out of Burgess. Whether we move it or at least just have brochure racks related to visitor center stuff. If we don't already have it, we probably should have at least a brochure rack at the library, at the Farmers Museum and the Fisherman's Museum.
Yes.
Right.
And an updated brochure,
Yes.
right, which is on our list of things to do, I agree.
Even if we don't have those as our official visitor center sites, we at least
The
have.
library has the rack of stuff, and some of the stuff's outdated, because I pulled the whole stuff from there. But I would like to actually think about maybe, having like a little I don't want the competition is the right word, right? But where there's traffic in the community, where visitors would actually go, and I'm not saying they're not gonna go to a marina store that sell parts, they might. But are they gonna go there, or are they gonna go over to the Heathsville, the Guild? Right, why, so, what about, Reedville, they're getting ready to redo the school or whatever. So what I'd like to look at from the EDC perspective is, along with, we're gonna build that little app, so if you're on one of those little home sites, you can pop up and see what there is to do in the county. We're gonna update our kayak map, we're gonna have the advertising. Make the visitor center a place where somebody wants to go that's inviting. Have the brochures in all those places, but if we're paying staff, my understanding is the county's paying to staff those visitor centers.
Really?
Yes.
So could we put something like that, Lewis at a marina?
So Karen, out of that 14,000 you referenced, some of that money is paying staff that are at the visitor center.
Correct.
Do we know the breakdown on that?
Yes.
It's no staff there.
And that's what, I mean, it's in my districts and I know what's there when it's not there. So yes,
There's,
essentially, there's no staff.
there's money that goes to pay salaries.
Well, what do they do?
Hence my question about tracking the,
My motion stand, I make a motion to move forward with that proposal to the county administrator.
second. Okay, so the motion, any discussion? Not you. Any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I will pursue, I will put the budget together, I will ask for the data on the county visitor centers, and I will also make a proposal to move one of the visitor centers, the one, not the one in Cali, leave that one there, because I think there's a mural on the wall even. but move the other one, it could stay in Burgess, but maybe put it across the street at the place with the cow. What's the name of the ice cream place?
Dairy.
Yeah, thank you, sorry. The cow place, right, that has a lot of traffic in the summer.
TJ.
Well, yeah, you could do TJ's,
Well,
TJ's.
but I think Fisherman's Museum, I think was
Right,
spot on.
Fisherman's
That's absolutely, 100%.
Well, let's get, if it's a visitor center, and then take inventory of what we have for, brochures and stuff and get it moving. And then ask the chamber for some of the statistics that they do have. I'd love to see how many visitors we're getting, where are they from? I don't even know what you're supposed to ask when you go to a visitor center. You don't wanna be nosy, be like, who are you, what are you doing in here? But at least if you have one of those little things.
I just use ask where's the bathroom.
Yeah.
And
But,
another site.
You know, the thing
I
about,
asked for maps.
yeah,
And there used to be one, there used to be in Northumberland County, and it was a big map. You unfolded it and it was like this.
Really?
I'll see if I can find a copy.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Lewis Settle, we probably want to look at Buzzards Point too, especially with them having Tangier cruise.
right. But
So that's a draw for people
Right.
coming in.
But if we're gonna have,
They-
we're
they
gonna spend money on
see it.
updating the kayak
Right.
launch map. If we wanna advertise the wine trail, we wanna take advantage of the heritage designation, if we wanna advertise the artisan trail. We're gonna put together a brochure and all this stuff's gonna be on our app, then let's have it available for people when you're coming into the county, and you're at someplace in the county, and you know what? I'm gonna ask over in Kilmarnock if they'd be willing, if the town hall there in their chamber of commerce, if they'd be willing to keep some of our stuff. Look at TriStar, right? Could we put some stuff there? Don't see why not. It's a different county, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
just pushing it. But, you know, as far as, the gentleman from, New Jersey, that,
Doug, yeah.
yeah.
Mr. President, Doug.
We all know who he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if we're doing this, we really don't need Doug, correct?
I would like to try to figure out how to still keep the chamber involved. I'm gonna keep pushing on it, Melissa, I'm not gonna give it up,
Well,
but I'm
can
not
he-
gonna rely on them.
Right, so can he give up his position to someone else that wanted it?
I think that's a problem, Melissa. It's a non-functioning group, is what my understanding is.
Well, they just.
And I used to be a member of it for years, but it's just, there just doesn't seem to be any
Well, they're just too
participation.
old and won't do anything.
Is that because of just a disconnection or
No,
personality?
I think it's like everything. It's no binary answer to it. I think
All right, we're being
there's a lot of
recorded.
reasons.
Okay, no problem. All right, we'll discuss that off the record.
So the idea is we still wanna try to have an active chamber. I did talk to someone else who said they're gonna try to have a meeting. We're not gonna rely on the chamber to get our stuff done because clearly they've been non-functioning for the last 2 years. So not looking for all of their money.
But let me know when you're ready to go down there and talk to them. I would love to go with you.
Thank you, and I will invite you down.
Please do.
The other thing I found when it comes to budget, and I didn't make copies of this, but I will pass this around. I checked with the county treasurer's office, and we have a Northumberland County business. As of September 30th, 2023, the assets in the loan fund are $25,779. There are $14,000 that can be loaned out. There's $11,258 in unpaid loans. So I'm gonna pass this around. What I also checked with the county administrator, and he shared with me, thank you, Drew, for asking, the standard operating procedure and a couple other documents about this particular fund. I would like to explore, and I'm happy to take a volunteer that wants to help. Perhaps updating the guidelines are from 1990. And I'm gonna try to meet with Pam, the new county treasurer, to find out like exactly how this works. But my understanding is the Economic Development Commission the county treasurer's office has to run the money, but we can run the process. Is that correct, Drew?
That sounds
That's correct.
correct, but
Right, so this is part of the beautification, right? Is it the $500 loan? Is it something else? So we've got an SOP from 1990 that needs to be reviewed. I'm
So-
happy to send it around.
But if this was established in 1990, this would not have been,
Not
Beautification.
beautification.
none of the revitalization funds.
But that money is now, my understanding is that money is now in there, it's together. Am I right or wrong about that? There used to be 2 accounts. One was the revitalization, one was the micro.
That was being managed by Jerry Davis, the one for the revitalization.
That's not us.
Right, so that's what I'm
That's not
asking.
it, that's not it. This is just that
this is totally
$5,000.
This is just the small, I think it's even 500, isn't it?
No, 5,000.
Yeah, this is that small, the 5,000 one.
Right, the 5,000.
So I will send around, I will give everybody the SOP that I got.
not I apologize if I perceived that I didn't get a chance to really look into it, but I just forwarded him what he sent me over the weekend, just to, so you.
Right, because it was over the weekend, I didn't want you to look at it over the weekend, I just happened to have a thought, that's why I put it on there.
You know, no, I understand, yeah, I just, so I apologize for not having.
But I will forward it to everyone, because what I'd like for us to do at our next meeting, if y'all are willing, to do this, is take a look at that documentation. And if this is a program that we think is, worth kind of reinvigorating, I can go talk to Pam about what the outstanding loans are, but we still have a pretty significant amount of money in there. And I don't know that the parameters that they put in place in the SOP that's there now are still effective, or if we want to change them, I just don't know.
It's a good question.
Hand it out, and we'll see if we can come up with some reviews, and maybe just go through a few review cycles with some markups. And see.
So what I'd like to do is have the conversation at the next meeting to see like how we want to tackle it.
Yes.
And I will send it out, please don't respond to email, because then we get into, this is a meeting issue via email. So I am gonna push it out to everybody so you have it as follow-up from this meeting. And then, that's kind of, if you will, a deliberative.
Okay, and I'll see what I have in file, because I remember, I know the two that we have outstanding.
Okay. Because and I look at this as deliberative because we're in the process of trying to review something in the budget, so I don't know. Drew and Robert, you guys have to help me out about posting. I think that, I don't know if those, I know the brochure that he sent is public, I don't know if the other two policies are. If you guys have help me understand what can be posted and what can't.
I want to understand words because they mean something. These two unpaid loans, does that mean they're delinquent?
I don't know, I have to
Yeah.
look.
We don't know what the aging on them.
Right, this is my introduction, my second introduction to this process, right? So I found out about the loans, then I asked Ellen about them, and then she gave me this document. I don't know if this is something that always comes to the EDC every year, and
And I know at one point we did a judgment, against them as well. We had the attorney involved.
so if we
So
have to
they're
write it
really-
off, then we just have to write it off.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, it's that long.
yeah.
Yeah, so like.
I mean, because, the risk is, these loans have to be turned down from bank. Yeah.
You may want to clarify with Pam King then, to your point, are they delinquent or are they accounts receivables, and you should have a separate line for each?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, and that's one of the things, now that I know this, right? And I have to figure out the difference between the two, but if we're talking about something like a beautification loan or helping a business do something, that it's good to understand what this loan is for versus. the
and
other ones.
if her point,
Melissa, you said a qualification for the loan was that they had to have been turned down?
By a bank,
Okay.
And
exactly.
the application is brutal, you gotta give up the name of your firstborn and your social security number and everything.
Just a name?
Really?
So it's already in that.
But-
Exactly, exactly.
if those are literally, if we're holding on for paper purposes, sunk loans that are never going to be recovered,
They need to be written off.
yeah.
Right, they should be written off and we've got
And we need-
$14,000 to play with, to loan out.
And or we need to ask somebody to put the rest of the money back in there.
Well, I don't know if it still exists. Right, this is where the source of the funds, right?
Yeah, exactly. What, is it taxpayer money or is it
So-
something else?
More to come.
Okay.
All right, so so the budget we did, cool, now we're on to the round table of,
Is their account receivable? Okay.
yeah, they're still receivable. The round table of commissioner updates, and if our new commissioners want to start and share anything they'd like to share about themselves along the way, that'd be awesome. Okay. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Oh, no, don't look at me like that. I just don't know where to start. I'm happy to be here. There's a lot that needs to be done. Much more than just what we've covered here, as you guys already know. One of the things that we couldn't really talk to our friend about tonight was the employee and the work pool, the labor pool in this county. If we get too far ahead of ourselves in building out, let's get the businesses here, we're gonna fall on our own crank if we don't do something about the labor pool.
Yep.
It kind of, and they're almost inseparable. They have to be worked in tandem. So that's, Chip asked me why I wanted to be on the EDC. The deadlock. We've got a labor pool and a business desire to be here problem, and they're intertwined. So we need to fix that. And I have a few ideas. Some things need to change. I believe, it's like at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, Richard rattled off a few things in response to Jimmy Brand's comments about a thing called VOTEC. Well, I talked to some people about VOTEC. It's not in Northumberland. So students go there, they get mentored by companies and employers there. So when they get out of high school, where do you suppose they go?
Shipyard.
There.
Well, that's because you're about to get in the shipyard.
So on top of that, I spoke with a few local employers, and they openly said the people that are coming out of the high schools are barely employable. They've got, I think what we could call it is maybe a cultural shift, because it's not like when you're ready to work. You want to work. Nowadays, that's not so much the case.
No, not remotely.
And yeah, there's a lot of reasons for it, but it won't necessarily take a lot of solutions, I don't believe. One of the things we need to do, and I asked one employer in particular what he'd like to do is, and just fell right out of his mouth. Give them school credit to come here and learn the job before I hire them.
Apprenticeship.
Right, it's apprenticeship. I don't understand why. And the reason I made the aha moment is because this week on Friday, I'm meeting with the superintendent and the finance director on something completely unrelated. And while I'm over there, I'm going to ask for a liaison to the EDC. As we've talked about before, we want to try to get some kind of OTEC, some kind of apprenticeship, some kind of, what's that thing? When I was in school, you did it, you went to work in the afternoon, co-op. Like, we need to get some kind of co-op stuff. And what I want to do is find out who at the school will be willing to work with us on that, so that we have a POC that we can learn from and talk to. And I'd like to see if they can come to our next meeting. So thank you for triggering that.
And would they give that to us, if, you know, would the school system actually do that if we already had VOTEC in place?
Go up.
You can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with both. And in fact, we probably should pursue both.
But your question was, will the school do it? But I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
There's nothing prohibiting them.
Karen, I want to ask.
And then the
follow up.
Department of Labor gives incentives.
So does the Virginia School.
So that, you just hit on something else. There's, I know only because I saw it briefly a few years ago. There are grants out there to help build some of these programs. I need to go revisit that, I suppose.
Yes, you can become the grant person. You're right.
Thanks.
You mentioned asking the school board to have a rep.
School.
School system to have a rep. Do you want that to be a faculty member, teacher, student,
Guidance
or
counselor.
both?
I think
Guidance counselor.
probably, yeah, it would probably be better if it was a guidance counselor and then a student.
They ain't got nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, my point was, do we want a student, we would like to see a student rep,
Yeah,
not just on EDC, but maybe even on planning commission.
right, I love, because
Just
junior chamber of commerce.
For them
is
to
an
start to
excellent
understand how all this works and how it's gonna benefit. the
And
district
the
on property.
implications of decision A to decision B.
Right, helping them
A student rep.
update, a student rep, helping them update that information with the Chamber of Commerce, and we don't need, you know, these people, they can update all of this information,
I
safe
wonder
that
if they
nature.
have a student body
Yes.
council that's a, like a president.
Yeah,
of that
student
interest.
council.
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
That would be
I
what we
will
would want to have.
ask them specifics about what kind of rep we're looking for. So we're looking for guidance counselor and student rep. Okay, all right. Thank you, Maurice. Yeah, that workforce conversation at the Board of Supervisors kind of scared me because I'm not sure if they're gonna be looking to us for that. All right, Ms. Stewart?
I was a little bit concerned when that discussion came up at the Board of Supervisors meeting, because a lot of the things I heard the supervisors say were not accurate.
Yes, I heard him too.
So I think when you have inaccurate information, your expectations are equally out of line.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other updates from your district?
No, ma'am.
Lynn Stewart, I'm happy to be here. I will dig in and help wherever I can. I have no expectations. Other than I assist with moving things forward.
Thank you.
She's really good at that.
Dan Corder, District 1, I am very happy to see both of you. Maurice particularly. Maurice, I think we lost Elba. Good supervisor with you. I would have preferred you stayed on the board. But I think we are the beneficiary of some good energy with you. District One, again, with the disclaimer of me being directly involved is duly noted. We did get the approval for the 138 site campground. We are, hopefully that's going to help with quintessential what Maurice said about you can't have businesses unless you got tourism or places for people to stay. We still have places for people to stay here. So we are hoping that that's going to help a lot. It is going to be a lengthy endeavor. The civil engineers saying it'll probably be about a year's worth of engineering work in order to get there. Yeah. So, but one of the things I want to just, because Karen will tell me to stop because she knows I get along with it. What you said, I think really we need as an organization to put a bookmark on about targeting developmental areas. Currently, Callio and Reedville essentially are the only two areas that have sewer. There was a rather large, prior to you getting on the board, capital improvement that was funded in part by the government, federal government money for upgrading the sewer systems in both those locations. So the capacity, they have substantial capacity there. So I think those are targeted areas. I've had a front row seat for many years now with engineered systems. Those engineered systems in the $35,000 quotes that people say those are for residential applications. You start talking about commercial applications, you're talking 6 zeros behind them. So I think where the infrastructure currently exists, those are the targeted areas where those businesses need to go. As far as my district reports, the businesses there are continuing to do the off-season struggle. I talk with all of them one at a time, usually during the course of the month, and they're all complaining about it being slow like it typically is for right now. But other than that, everybody's just hunkering down and moving forward. But I'm glad to have both you guys on the commission, and hopefully we'll get something done.
Melissa Buns Carter, District 3. And I'm all over the place. And welcome. For Dan's District 1, for the 138 site campground, I guess I gotta hold what I have to say until after we get off.
If we get off the ground.
Right.
If we get
Yeah,
off the ground.
it's,
Yeah.
I feel like we need that just like I need a hole in my head. Okay, because of the fact that what we need here in this county is senior living.
Yes.
Okay, which is what I wanted at that location in Callio. And we need workforce housing.
I agree with both those statements.
I really feel like that's my focus of what we actually need. And I'm gonna keep on keeping on until we get it.
Don't we have senior camping as a possibility? Just kidding, sorry, Melissa.
Yeah.
Melissa's absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, that's just-
The senior housing is really.
Senior housing is really needed. We had one of our commissioners, Bill Clean. It broke my heart when I went over to the Commonwealth in Kilmarnock to see him, and he was dying there. And the saddest part about it was he stated that how much he loved Northumberland County, and we had not one facility for him.
Yeah.
I saw that in writing recently.
Yeah.
That's
horrible.
and my wife actually retired from that career field.
Mhm.
She worked for Visiting Angels for a time, but now she does it freelance.
Mhm.
We don't have, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, so what happens is that we have to give the county, with the board of supervisors, usually they lead to something that's a need. A need is workforce housing. We need sustainable homes. We can qualify them all day long to purchase. But if we don't have the inventory on the market, we have a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a serious problem from here right on through Chesapeake, Virginia. So, for them to entertain 138 site campground, is just ridiculous to me.
I used to be in the medical field, and to William's point, when you start talking about long-term care or assisted living or senior living, you get the state involved and you walk away before you ever start.
But if
If
we
you've
do
ever been-
senior living,
Okay,
we're
senior,
saying senior living. I don't want the assisted living and things of that nature, a skilled care unit. I want the seniors to have a home where they can come in and out of. They can come in and out, whatever they want to, they have their own laundry room go wash your own clothes. But the thing about it is that it's senior living is what
Okay.
we're saying,
Okay.
So,
not healthcare.
just as a point of curiosity to measure what your vision is, you go up towards Montrose, there's a couple of them
Mhm.
on one side of the road, fairly close together, actually. You familiar with those? They're Bay Living, I think is what one of them goes.
Okay, yes,
So,
okay, yes.
So just kind of a question about your assessment of quality of service. Do you think that those would be acceptable for some of what you're talking about?
I think that they would be acceptable. What wouldn't be, to my standards, would be Westminster Canterbury. Okay, because
Loud
that's,
and clear.
yeah, because with Westminster, those cottages started at over 300,000, and that was a few years ago. Just a 1-bedroom cottage.
Okay, so it's affordable.
Yes.
So this is one of the things for me that is related to attracting people in, right? We have to figure out who can come in and invest, and so that's gonna be in the strategic plan for
Yes,
sure. It's
yes.
a matter of how you.
Senior
If
housing.
you're doing in Lancaster. like,
Well,
how
we're
you get-
also on the
Both of
board,
those.
I'm on the board now for Northumberland and Richmond County. For the planning district, so
It's-
we're gonna do those, and also Middlesex has reached out to me as well for workforce housing, so we're gonna be real
You
big.
can have enterprise here.
So, that's one of the things that is actually needed. It's needed because of the fact that if I'm living across the street in Callio, the last thing I wanna do is walk in my front door and see a damn campground. Okay, I have nothing else to say, okay.
For my district, I read on next door that Glen Lester is closing or is
Yes.
closed. And I'm like, they're still open right now, so I gotta go over and ask, what have you heard?
Yes,
They're closing.
yes.
They announced it on Facebook.
Oh, see, I'm not
Yes.
on Facebook.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
It's run its course for them. I heard, it's speculative now, I do want to reach out to them because I think they're looking for someone to buy their business.
Okay.
And that'd be something interesting to be able to keep up. That's very formidable business, very good business.
Yeah, people are like, where do we go to get stuff now? So
Exactly.
you just gotta find somebody, okay.
So-
So if you're gonna call them, then I won't go over there. I mean, I have to drive by there all the time, but I know stuff. I saw everything's still there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize they were closing.
I was gonna
Still
reach out to
find
them.
out.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out to them and just say, hey, I hear, what are your plans? Are you looking for that type
Okay,
of thing?
thank you.
I'll find it.
Anyone heard what the time frame is?
No, it was posted like mid-December that they said they were closing their doors. And I looked rather quickly, I didn't look.
Okay.
Because they're still operational right now, but I'm sure it's gonna take long to
Yeah.
get inventory and do the stuff they need to do, so.
Cheryl's gonna be heartbroken.
Yeah, that's, okay, so that was one thing that,
The Dollar General was open and.
oh yeah,
running
yep,
and-
it's,
Anybody notice how many Dollar Generals opened up in a 90-day period in this community?
Amazing.
Yeah, Little
That's a
Bill
bother.
is wonderful.
There's a problem coming.
why is it a bother?
We have Food Lion, right?
Mhm.
And now we've got these Dollar Generals that are carrying food. They didn't used to, but they are now.
Yeah.
So now we have 5 smaller grocery stores everywhere that's not really Food Lion. Now, I do recall.
Well, I'm sorry, why is that a problem? The sales
Um,
tax is the same from either one.
He's worried about us losing the one and only grocery store.
Okay, well, so I want, like,
I am worried
Food Line is not going anywhere,
Well,
because Dollar General doesn't sell the kind of stuff Food Line does, but.
years and years ago, there was, I don't know if anybody remembers this, it's just an article I read in one of the local newspapers that, some people had pushed Food Kitty to open up another location because when you're the only one in the whole county, it's a cruise. People's ice cream melts. And they flat said, no, we're not doing it because there's not enough population here. There's other things that go into it, but I'll save that for private discussions.
Okay.
It's,
I think it's a good question.
Well, what I have noticed is that I know that in Hartfield, they're doing a Dollar General Market. So I was like, okay, so we have a super center that's coming in, because they having, it's a huge Dollar General. And they have DG Market.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, Dollar General Market hasn't opened up just yet. And actually, I noticed the other day, because the wind was blowing so strong, it blew all over the porta potties. So, y'all got shit. But
still important. Well, the sensitivity.
So what's happening is that when I walk into some of them that are selling some of the produce, they, it's empty. You know, they're out, you know, because it's not a large amount of it. But I understand that Wacomica has more than, you know, Burgess is just, you know, pretty much
Right.
pitiful.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was more of that, but I think.
Still not very much.
Okay, no, not
They're not
to
gonna
affect
supply my
food
groceries.
line, but it is convenient because we're in such a rural area that I'd rather run up to Wacomico Dollar General than to go all the way to Eastfield, go to Food Line and get a loaf of bread.
Understood.
Yeah,
Yeah, the convenience, and I didn't think I popped in there just to say hello and, you know, introduce
One,
myself, and I was just like.
one
"We got
aspect
stuff in here."
that I'm willing to talk about here is that, it kills other would-be competition. In other words, you've got
local
like
mom and
the barn
pops.
store that used to be over there on Fleeton Road. It kills any hope that that's ever gonna be a store again. It's never gonna happen.
Okay, so your point.
I like
what I'm struggling
mom and
with
pop.
is, I get that, but I don't know how our economic development plan can stop Dollar General. 'Cause
Oh,
they
I
bring
wasn't
jobs and
suggesting
they
that we
bring-
Oh,
could.
no. He
I
was
wasn't
just making,
suggesting we could,
he
it's a
was just
personal.
It's a
suggesting,
statement
he
of
was just making
reality.
a statement that it would affect things,
Yeah,
just like,
sometimes I can't separate the
So
two.
we,
Right.
I look at it as an opportunity, maybe we need to have a representative from them come here and talk to us about franchising and what they're seeing attractive about.
Yeah, why they-
Somebody
yeah.
else.
You know,
Yeah.
on that, the guy,
That's
the
a great idea.
agent that put that whole deal together was Kenny Cookendall.
oh, okay.
And maybe we need to talk to Kenny.
Oh, Kenny just sell the land.
Yeah, he just sold the land.
Yeah.
He did a little bit more work on it than that, but he called and talked to me about it.
Well, their business model does, unlike McDonald's, doesn't depend on population.
Exactly.
They're catering to places that don't have population.
Right.
their role is every city, trying to get one in just about every
Right,
city.
And
because
that's
they
a
have
good
enough of a
point,
presence somewhere else
because
that can float this
that
way.
should tell us that there are companies out there that do exactly that.
Right. I mean, so the only thing that we would have in competition right now, because, you know, McDonald's is pretty much out in some of the fast food restaurants. So the only thing that we're having is the Family Dollars, the Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, the Dollar Trees. And the only other thing that we're lacking right now, because of the fact that McDonald's and the ABC store are the only ones that profited during COVID. So we need more liquor.
Right now.
Dollar General people liquor license.
And she said that right here in the sheriff's office.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, you know what I was saying, but you know, give them my ABC store.
My update is over.
Okay.
Let's see, next on our agenda, executive director.
Yeah.
I know, Bob, I'm here to follow all
I
this.
can't,
Okay.
I cannot. There's a new church that's being done. I have in there Glenn Lester is closing, I was gonna look into that. I'm gonna have a conference call tomorrow with, the gentleman, I forgot his name, who, created the kayak brochures with us.
Thank you, so you can
Lisa's
start getting
gonna
that ARPA money
talk to
spent.
you, we're gonna talk to you
Okay.
about that as well. I provided you all in your packet a copy of the Go Virginia Articles of
Thank
Organization.
you.
They are a local organization, they're a people's organization. It's probably worthwhile, they came and talked to us, what do you think? It's probably worthwhile having them come and talk to us again. Let us know the programs that they have available.
I wasn't here when they came last.
You were not here. I'd like to coordinate that when you prefer, so I don't interfere with the strategic development if we're having other meetings like that. I could try and see if they can come next meeting, next month.
Yeah, can you see, we can dedicate 20 minutes to the first next meeting to talk to them, that way we've got, because again, since we're still developing the strategic plan,
Yeah.
there's things in there that we need to learn from them, let's do it.
Yep, and they can tell us
Please.
the programs that they have available. I do know the Go Virginia 6, they'll do all these initiatives with us and there will be funding available, but it's got to cross a couple different counties. So if there's something we want to do, our neighboring county we may want to have a joint partnership. for
We
them
can
to
tell
do
Lisa.
with that.
Lisa Holt,
Yeah.
over at the Northern Planning Commission, she said she'd know, or she'd be able to get together some people, okay.
Correct. Let's see, we did go in front of the board and provide the market analysis for the billboards. The results of that, they did approve, the spending for the billboards.
And they congratulated you on a presentation.
That was a good presentation.
I'm glad you liked that, thank you. And so now we're moving forward, I'm working with the billboards in now to finalize, dot the i's and cross the t's. So we can go and make the payment for that.
And can we get every meeting an update on that? And I probably want one twice, one in between, because I'm super sensitive about making sure that that all gets on contract in time for us to do the billing.
Yeah, in fact, what'll most likely, yes, I'll certainly do that.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all. And then I have several different updates for the Stay to Eat map. Been getting some great updates from Susie Cambria. I'm a little bit behind on getting those, but I'll work on those as well. We got the planning commission meeting, joint meeting Thursday, and then I go to the Northern Planning District Commission meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, will you attend that one?
Do you want me to?
No, I'm just asking if you.
I didn't have
Did you go to the one before?
No.
I'll see if I can get you. Well, I shouldn't say I'll see if I can get you on this, but I'll mention them to include you on there. If you want to attend. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind listening in once in a while, because I'd
Okay.
like to see what they're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's all I have.
Right. Wow, well done.
That's,
Just to follow up, with Susie, did she mention that Copper Creek Deli is closed?
I have one from
I don't
Teresa.
have that.
I have an update from Teresa Lambert I can forward over, because I think she put Copper Creek on the, yeah.
They're closed.
Okay.
Permanently, it was for the-
Maybe there's an email in there and I may have missed it. I have several other that she says they're shutting down. Rick's Garden,
Wow, she's shutting down too?
Kids Store, or maybe.
No, the kids store shut down in December.
Yeah,
Yeah, kids closet.
I'll check the.
Okay.
I know Rick's Garden was shutting down. Wow, I'm gonna have like one thing left in my Concord church, okay. Drew?
Yeah, all points still moving through with the Batty project, and that's in various stages, depending on where you are in the county. They also put in an application to challenge a lot of areas under BEAD funding to be able to, for all points to come.
Okay.
Challenge is a good thing.
In this case, it's a good thing,
It's a good
because
thing.
they wanna be able to say that's an underserved area.
Correct.
Bingo,
So
bingo.
they have all that submitted by the end of November, or at least I want to say November 30th, roughly was the deadline, but they challenged a lot of areas and are waiting to hear back if Breeze Line's even going to contest areas, or if it just goes straight on in.
So the deal there is who gets to run the cable, that's why
Yeah.
if they contest it, then
Yeah,
Atlantic Broadband needs to put it in at a reduced cost. So they'd be able to run it like your point at the reduced cost, and then it only has to be roughly. But if Breeze Line contests it, then.
so broadband, regardless of the provider, broadband in the county is something we desperately need, and we're making strides to get as much coverage as we can. So, that
I
was-
like Starlink.
Was there something going on with the, I think he called it affordable housing rebuild? Was there something put in place or a grant? I know we did the planning grant for,
I haven't-
The only thing going on in Reedville is the school, they're trying to turn
Yeah.
it into economic.
Roland.
Yeah,
I think it's
but it wasn't affordable housing, it was for, getting the school, just kind of like, one preserving one and putting the other one kind of in economic development. So I didn't hear about a affordable
Okay.
housing one.
okay.
Do we need to run that one down?
I will try to get the information because, Beulah Baptist, Church, their pastor was the one that was
Oh, I hadn't
asking
heard
me
that.
about
Okay.
that rebuild. I was like, I don't know, other than, what we discussed with the planning
Yeah, they want to
district.
talk with Jerry.
And
we're working
we
on
put in the, for the planning grant, but
Right, that was just for the, Yeah.
revitalization and things of that nature, but that was it.
that was all I
So
know about
I
it.
asked him if he had some information to send it to me so that I can share it. Didn't receive. So I have no idea.
Drew, is there anything new with the removal of that old boat by the kayak, proposed kayak ramp?
That has been batted back and forth.
I know it has, because I talked to one of the DNR policemen down there last week.
Between sheriff's office, BMRC says it's on sheriff's office, and then now it's back in BMRC hands. I'm waiting to hear when they were trying to locate the owner. I don't want to say he had a court date he didn't show up for, and they were trying to get all the information straight so that they have to get everything straight and from a legal perspective before we can make any, or his approval to do it, whether it goes to legal or not, to be able to make any movement on it.
So we won't do anything with that kayak launch there until that.
Well, no, we still have to get that kayak launch under Arbor Tourism, which will probably be done even with that boat vessel sitting right there next to it. It'll be an eyesore, but it'll be an opportunity to get on the water right there.
Okay.
Do they have to go around it?
Other places advertise those as shipwrecks that are great for snorkeling.
Yeah, that's what we need to do with that one. Look at the orchard growing on it.
True.
Oh, a Target shelf, yeah.
I just got a question. It has to do with how the county actually receives money. We're getting a 2% tax now from vacation rentals, short-term rentals. But there hasn't been any the county wants the owner operators to file a return every 90 days, but that's just all the detail they provided. What does this return look like? What is the process?
Yes.
Ignore it till they give you more information.
Well, the other thing that I don't understand is just the logistic parts, and Maurice, I've said this, these guys have heard this for the last 2 meetings we have. When you register, there has to be an inspection. Let's pretend that there's 300 out there, which is what I'm hearing there is, or over 300.
There's over 300.
Okay, I'm sorry, one FTE is not going to do that many inspections in a year. It's not going to happen. It's no different than fire inspections. The math doesn't work. And if you look at what the fee schedule is, that if they got to hire, 2 full-time equivalent employees, the fee schedule is not even going to pay for the human costs to be compliant with what they.
All right, time out before you go down a rabbit hole. Can you bring this back to, is this new business for the EDC or is it a question for Drew River County?
It's probably broad, it's a broad question
It
because if you can, it doesn't necessarily apply strictly to short-term rentals. It's just that if the county is going to say, we're going to put a tax on this business or that business, you need to file a return every 90 days. It helps to know exactly how people are supposed to file a
Well,
return.
and I think it's very germane to EDC because you just said it correctly. It is a business. The
Yes.
county has determined it's a business now.
Okay, so now what
So
we're
that
asking
goes
is,
to, that would be with the board of supervisors, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Sure,
Yeah, yeah.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I raised that same question with a slightly different way with Richard, or when the board was talking about the cigarette tax, that there's something going around about all that crap too. I said, look, it's one thing to dream about the revenue, but there's a cost to administration.
You betcha.
The first thing you learn in public finance is don't create a tax that costs more to collect than to collect.
And that's what
That's
happens.
absolutely right.
so
I
do
don't-
we have an action as the EDC, I'm asking, are we asking the board of supervisors to share the information so county businesses are?
I think it should come up
Yes.
during our meeting with them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
There you
that's
go. Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I think it should because it's very germane.
But a little bit to your point, it doesn't look like their intent is to go out and inspect everything.
No, of course not.
You're signing, declaring that it's good.
Sure.
And
Which, okay, so, sovereign immunity aside, which opens up a whole nother can of worms. Yours is good. You have a 2-alarm fire in your house and your guests get killed because the smoke detectors weren't properly installed. Who's responsible then? Is it the county?
5:30.
They said it was okay. They didn't properly inspect it. It's a mess. I'm telling you, they've opened up Pandora's box. 100%.
I am the only one in the county that's not R3 that has held a permit for the last 12 years.
I'm sure.
All right, so you guys are both good.
You might email me that question in
Okay.
detail. And
I'll do it that
I'll
way.
get with Luttrell and as well as being.
No worries.
There you go.
Because it's just, it's,
Yeah.
there's nobody, I'm the only one that owns one here, right? So I'm
No,
probably.
we're not,
the only one that-
we're
but
not
it
the ones
is-
that's gonna say we do.
Right. You ain't gonna get real close. But it is applicable to anything that's gonna come down the road. It's like, it
Sure
seems
is.
like the commissioner of the revenue is the one that's primarily responsible, B, out of the discussion. That's just my observation. So
And
I
it is something we need to know for businesses, right there.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing it back. All right. We still have new business.
Yes, we do.
What new business is there that, I don't have anything new, because it popped up throughout the entire conversation.
Yeah.
So Bob sent out a thing this morning. Was it this? No, late last night. Why are you up so late?
Those are my hours.
Wow.
That's after work.
And it seems that Northampton has decided that they can, and if they're successful, they will single-handedly shut down our largest employer that's not the school.
No, all they did was pass a resolution that's not
Yeah,
binding.
within their county.
That's right.
I don't
They're
think
not
it's gonna
binding
stop there.
I asked, I sent a question to Luttrell asking about that, so what does this mean? What kind of teeth does this document have? It's just they're beating their drum saying, we protest.
Yeah, we're the Eastern Shore, we don't want you doing that because 6 people from an environmental group got to us and said you're killing them. The fish one I don't know about.
The Menhaden?
No, the relationship with the striped bass.
So.
Was it a striped bass?
Yeah, so the men, yeah, so it's
That's,
all,
they
it's
need
all,
I hadn't heard that, I hadn't seen that research.
yeah, I had not either, but it was very interesting when our guest came in and talked to us and he said, yeah.
Blooming
That's
Rock.
true.
Yeah.
Bumper crop.
Bumper
And I wanted to say that, well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that was very interesting. I don't think, yeah, I agree. Virginia, or Go Virginia is an advocate for water activity, water business, so if it ever gets to that, we can reach out to them and see what they can do for us with that as well.
Well, I think in the end, because I've watched this for years, it's gone back and forth from one extreme to the other. And usually when it goes from one extreme, they're either banning or lifting a ban. It's never, it's like an on-off switch. And reality is, one of the first classes in any economic, one of the first lessons is the wolf and the vermin.
Yeah.
You know, if you overhunt, then you're gonna die, but you wanna get it tuned so where you've got a machine that works well. And I think the state has gone overboard repeatedly. I think locals have, and I also think Omega has on the opposite end of the spectrum. So there has to be a better way to manage it. I don't know that the Economic Development Committee can do anything about that, though.
So I think Luttrell was
We can weigh in, that's
for
about it.
awareness,
Just for
not,
awareness.
right, because if anyone's gonna do anything, it would be our supervisors, not seeing do
Yeah.
it.
Right.
The
But we
bill,
can
the
do-
bill to try to open up Menhaden regulation throughout the year failed last year in the Virginia legislature, right?
Yes, it did.
Because they could only do that a couple times a year, they said, no, you're not gonna do it more. Some of the research that they're talking about has some
Data.
footnotes in it that's very interesting.
Uh-huh.
Particularly if you look at the one on the Osprey. It could be, VIMS is doing additional research to see if that's actually related, so
Mhm.
I don't know what their political motivation was, but I'm not seeing anything that EDC needs to step in on that, unless somebody sees something different.
Other than weighing in on impacts economically, we don't really have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, so I got to them.
Yeah, we're gonna stick on this side and try to get the Chamber of Commerce up.
Yeah. We can pass those.
You know, I've pushed different ropes uphill all my life. That's an interesting one. You can push that rope up.
I'm gonna push it up. I'm tired of
Yeah.
doing this.
Okay. All right,
Doug is an
new
interesting.
business, anything else?
I just want to make a comment about the agenda, item 3, franchise discovery session. I think we need to keep discovery session in here, whether it's franchise, whether it's Go Virginia, whether it's, I think we need.
That's great.
That's a great idea.
We have a discovery session good idea.
Okay.
We'll keep it in the agenda, thank you.
Great person, that bear must have gotten to you.
Shook him up.
Yeah.
I can see clearly now.
Yeah. All right, so sensing no other new business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:43.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Toodles. All right.
Leanna?